time of old kings is done. The kings of old who came from the stars to Kronos saw our race as a robust crop to be harvested. Their power and technology set them as gods to those early Klingons that roamed the plains of a once lush world, enslaving our ancestors as labor to harvest the land and warriors to fight their wars. They used their advanced sciences to change the very building blocks of what it is to be a Klingon. Those who stayed on the homeworld were bred as strong and subordinate manual labor. As their machines of industry stripped our planet of its natural wealth, the Klingons they took to the stars were engineered to serve as crew on their mighty warships. A schism formed and two genetic lines were created, both Klingon, but one stronger and more durable, the other smarter and more capable in combat. Over more than 500 years, Klingons spread across the galaxy as crew in the ships of these taskmasters from the stars. Planets were colonized as industrial way stations to service a never-ending war fought by these former gods against an unknown adversary. In the decades before the Great Uprising, something changed. Those who had once seemed like gods transformed into fearful kings, clutching to power in fear. Their interstellar wars wrought casualties. Worlds were burnt to ash, and the confidence with which they once ruled metamorphosized into a timid shadow of a once great glory. Kahless, a common laborer, rose from the masses on Kronos to lead a rebellion against these old kings. The robust warriors captured the centers of industry, while Klingons on board ships in orbit mutinied and took control of the picket fleet that guarded the homeworld. The old kings cowered in their orbital stations, isolated from the massive fleets and resources of centuries past. Over the next several years, automated base stations and orbital manufacturing facilities were captured and retooled. Nearly a decade after the liberation of Kronos, the last base station was captured, only to find the desiccated remains of the entities we now refer to as the Old Kings. With the Old Kings now dead, Kahless worked to bring Klingons together, dividing the survivors of the liberation into tribal houses that centralized specialist knowledge and skills. Tribal bonds were formed quickly with those Klingons who served in the spacefaring ships of old, now divided and tasked with the burden of understanding the technology, science, and knowledge of the Old Kings. These houses worked diligently to build the capacity for Klingons to defend themselves from enemies old or new. The warriors from Kronos, relying on their knowledge of industry, rebuilt the engines destroyed in the war and began the effort of restoring Kronos to the planet of bounty it had once been. Waning in age, Kahless gathered his most loyal advisors and formed a governing council for Kronos. With representatives from all houses, these leaders would serve as the future government of the Klingon people. Taking the last battleship from the picket fleet, Kahless and a valiant few took to the stars to seek out other Klingon worlds left isolated in the wake of the Old Kings. He pledged to return at a time of great need, but trusted that his brothers and sisters in arms would lead the Klingon species to honor and glory. This is the story of those Klingons of Kronos, reaching out beyond Kronos Firma to explore strange new worlds, seek out new life and civilizations, to submit, conquer, and exploit those too weak to protect themselves. Long live the Klingon Empire.